Hi, it's Stephen Van Kampen-Lewis here at the beginning of February, and I don't know about y'all, but a lot of my catasetums are already starting to wake up. So I figured this is the perfect time to repot and do another PET video showing you how I like to do it, sort of what I've learned over the past, bunch of years, and sort of showing you how to do it and showing you how it's different than my first PET video. I made a second PET video a year or two ago, so this will actually be my third PET video, and things are a little different. So let's get started. So first of all, if you are doing a PET repot, first of all, what does PET stand for? PET is polyethylene, and that typically refers to using plastic, sort of free or recycled or reused plastic containers as your pots, and then modifying them for the plant, for this type of watering and planting system. And it's fairly simple. Basically what we'll do is we'll punch a couple holes in the bottom, or near the bottom here, so that we'll get a water well in the bottom. Then we'll have sort of an inorganic media in that water well, and then we'll add organic media on top, and of course the plant will go inside here. In order to do this, there's a few things you'll need. Of course, a plastic container. This is a fairly large one. This is going to be a large plant that I'm going to show you how to deal with. Something to cut off the old pot if required. I will show you that I definitely need that here in a moment. This is an electronic soldering iron, and these are like less than 10 bucks online, super cheap. But what happens is they get super hot, and then you can use them to just poke holes into the plastic. And it's a really quick and easy way to create a PET pot. If you're like me and you got a bunch of them that you need to do, efficiency is important. Pair of scissors for cutting, maybe some kind of a fertilizer container. That's what I use. Fire to sterilize your tools. Of course, a plant to repot. So I have this unruly thing. This is Catasetum tabulare variety rhinophorus. If you can see that there. And ideally, you want a plant that's dormant and just starting to wake up. So you can see that little growth there. That means that this guy has activated and he is starting to grow. He actually put this new growth out during the dormant season. So no water, obviously much smaller than the previous bulb, the 2020 bulb, but still he was able to grow just fine with 0 water for, I don't know, 4 months. I guess I stopped watering at the end of November. It's beginning of February, so a fairly long time. And I'm going to show you that I'm actually going to cut this guy up into several pieces. I'll probably only keep these front 2 bulbs, and then maybe sell these back bulbs. So the first thing that we need to do is get this guy out of his old container, and as you can see, that is going to be no easy task. Those roots are solid all the way down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this and cut through it. So I was able to cut this one down the side here, and I'm splitting it open. And so this gives you kind of an idea of what we're going for. So we're going to have the water well here at the bottom with inorganic media. I use EcoWeb or EpiWeb. I can't remember what it's called. It's not really available on the market in the United States anymore. But you can use rocks or anything that's not going to break down in the bottom, or a lot of people use Hydroton or Leca. Then we're going to have our organic layer in the middle. So previously I used to do 2 layers. This is sort of the Brazilian style where they do wood in the middle and then sphagnum on top. Orchiata is kind of expensive, and so is sphagnum. So I am changing up what I do for the organic stuff to sort of save some money. Here's where I keep my fertilizer. See, and here are these slow release pellets. And as you can see, this is just a brick. This is good growth. This is a happy plant that's done well. So before I start cutting, I'm going to sterilize my tools, which I've already bent and broken. So time to go to the store and get some new ones. First, fire. So fire is really the only good way to sterilize your tools, or the best way, I guess I should say. Rubbing alcohol is okay, a bleach solution is okay. Apparently neither of those will kill viruses, but fire kills everything. It's quick, it's easy. I think I bought this from Home Depot for like 15 bucks like 5 or 6 years ago, so they last a long time. I have not refilled it. So, hot scissors. Just gonna remove some of these old flower spikes. There's a good chance that those of you at home remove the flower spikes as they age, fall off, and I typically do, but for some reason I didn't do it on this one. And so now what I need to do is I'm going to cut most of these roots off, not because the roots are bad or the media is bad. The media is fine, but I only want to keep these front two bulbs, and then I'm gonna cut up these back bulbs and maybe sell them. But cutting into these old roots aren't necessarily very good. The roots that grew recently, as you can see by this one here, you can see some green in there. So they're still viable, but this guy is going to put out a completely new root system this coming growing season. So unlike Cattleyas, where or most orchids really, where you want to kind of keep the roots if you can, Catasetums, you know, they dump their leaves every year and they grow an entirely new root system every year. So they're really forgiving plants, because if you screw up one year and it survives, it is a completely new plant the next year. So I'm going to start by taking the bottom layers off. And basically just ripping everything apart as best I can. So these are the bulbs that I'm going to keep. This is the new growth. I don't know if you can see it there. And these are still fairly good roots from this guy, which just finished growing like yesterday. So I have my rhinophorum that I'm going to pot up. And then I have these other bulbs, which I'm going to divide. All right, so I could chop this up into smaller bits. But I think I'm just gonna sell this as one whole piece. So the next thing I'm gonna do is take this and poke some holes in the bottom here. Now I'm not going to show you that because it's fairly straightforward, and I have to go to a plug, which I don't have next to me. But I'll be right back. All right, so I have poked some holes. I have 2 holes here at the bottom, so you can see how far it is up off the top. the depth of the water well doesn't really matter that much. I could go shallower, I could go deeper. I haven't found that it really matters. I hit these guys with water just about every day in the summertime, so the water well in the bottom stays full all the time, basically, for most of the growing season, or all of the growing season, really. I also poke holes on top. See one there. I poke 3 so that I can have a hanger. I like to hang all these guys. You know, if you grow your plants inside or on a shelf, then you don't really need to do these top holes. But I like to hang my plants. So the next thing is the inorganic layer on the bottom here. So I'll have it about this deep, probably, you know, so it's just above the holes, I guess 2 fingers deep. And I am going to use the EpiWeb. You can use rocks. And rocks are actually pretty good because these guys get very top heavy and can fall over fairly easily. So having some weight in the bottom is a good idea. Just make sure that it's one of those inert rocks, maybe not like limestone that's going to leach or turn the water in the water well very basic and very hard, or very acidic, depending on whatever rocks you're using. So I've filled this up with all the inorganic media that I want. So it's about to, you know, it's the inorganic media will allow water to stay in the bottom here, and it won't have material sort of rotting in the water. So now I'm going to fill the rest entirely with cypress mulch. And the cypress mulch that I get is not a high quality one. It's kind of a low quality, crappy mix that I get at Home Depot. And it's cypress in addition to some other hardwoods. And I've had some friends tell me that it's not necessarily all that great. But for catasetums, you know, they don't really need great quality mix. You know, they grow in the wild, they're growing on palm trees, and where the palm fronds attached to the tree, the roots are growing down in there, and it's a hot mess in there. It's just basically the roots are sitting in water with rotting plant material. As debris comes down from the palms and stuff starts to rot, that's where they love to be. So there's no need to go spend a whole bunch of money on a really expensive mix for these guys. If you don't have a cypress mix, you can use any old pine bark, any old orchid bark, sort of the large grade, it would be best. I know that Bernie Butts up in Canada, he grows amazing catasetums in the basement of his house, and he uses coconut coir, the coconut husk chunks, I guess. And so, you know, they're growing in palm trees, so coconut husks is a fairly natural material for them to grow in. But, you know, catasetums are not picky. They'll grow in just about anything, which is really cool. So let's fill some of this up. Here's that mulch mix. Lots of different sizes. Again, it's not fancy, it's not high quality, it's super cheap. And the catasetums seem to love it. So, I filled it up quite a bit. And what I want to do now is take this guy and sort of want to get him growing like this. So, what I need to do is fill the mix around the plant and then stake it or zip tie it into place. So this is most of the way done. As you can see, this is kind of wiggly in there, and once the roots start growing, that wiggling will kill the roots. So you have to be absolutely sure to sort of tie down the plant as best you can so that there's zero, not even a little bit of wiggling. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to burn another hole into the back of this, into the side of this pot, and then zip tie, cinch it down really tight. So I have the zip tie. I punched another hole in the back of this. And now I'm just going to zip tie it down. So now this guy's not moving at all, which is great. I'm also gonna push down the media a little bit here. I'm gonna push it down really hard. And then I'm gonna fill in a little extra. And that's it. This guy is now ready to go. I'm gonna take some of these and refill them with new fertilizer. And then this one will probably not get watered until around Memorial Day at the end of June. So, you know, like I said at the beginning of the video, this is the beginning of February. It hasn't gotten any water since November, maybe middle of November. Maybe a splash or two if when the back bulbs were shriveling a little bit. But that's it. So around Memorial Day, I know some people like to, when they first start watering, they like to just sort of lightly spritz their catasetums. I haven't found that to be useful or needed. I guess is probably a better way to say it. So the first watering of this guy, this media will be completely soaked. There will be a water well in the bottom, and this thing will have water in the bottom of the pot basically until next November when I stop watering again. They like it wet, they like it hot, they like it sunny, and that's it. That's PET in a nutshell. It's fairly straightforward, and it's gonna get your catasetum bulbs from this size up to this size. Let me know if you have any questions. See ya.